Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestling Forever.
Forever!
Forever!
They said it wouldn't get to an episode 2, Ryan.
Well, do you know what? I'm not even going to lie, Billy. The amount of times I have started projects on my YouTube channel, and it's a running joke, it's like I'll start like a Football Manager series or something, and people go, is this going to get to episode 3?
Is this, well, we're halfway there.
We're nearly there.
We're halfway there.
But the setup is different. I think we should probably address that.
Right, so we're not in our regular podcasting studio.
Yes.
Big shout out to Chris and all the squad at Blackfriars here in Glasgow. Great place to go for a night out. Great place to go and see live entertainment and comedy in this room, which is we're actually got the comedy club right behind us.
Exactly. You might recognise this, so you've probably figured it out by now.
Yeah, this is Colombo.
Colombo. Well, it's kind of Colombo because on the camera you can only see like the nose down.
And we don't want to get sued by the Colombo estate for what we don't.
We'll just turn this into a Colombo podcast.
Oh man, I'd actually listen to that.
Never watched Colombo, but we'll turn it into a Colombo podcast.
Because for a second I was looking at it trying to go like, who is there anyone that has a wrestling gimmick that looks like that? I don't think so.
It looks like Vince McMahon if he was competing in Red Nose Day, you know.
No, let's not talk about what Vince McMahon's nose has been.
We've covered him last week, and his nose has been in some filthy places.
Certainly has.
The support,
not Linda McMahon recently though, apparently. So there we go.
The support on episode 1 was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it, and this week we're hoping to hit the same high notes. We're hoping to get the same sort of reactions, and we've got a lot of conversation to go through. Again.
A lot to go through. A couple of quick bits, heavy lifting, I should say. Yes, we are going to be hitting Spotify and all the podcast audio things, but we're living on YouTube just now, and that seems to be where lots of people are finding us, and that's great. If you are enjoying the podcast, we're not asking for, there's no fancy Patreon here, we're not selling adverts or anything like that, at least not just now, until we're more than happy to sell out.
Well,
I
done it. I finally bowed down to the machine.
Well, all we've got to say is one way you can support the podcast is by hitting that share button, telling your pals that are into wrestling, tagging them in the YouTube comments, or sharing it in your Facebook or any of your social medias. We'd really appreciate that.
Of course, like button, like the button, press that. That's what gets us in the recommended pages.
Do you know what I always wanted? To see when there was any events on like Facebook and I would go, are you coming? Yes, no, maybe. I always wanted a am I fuck button.
The amount of times, but see the thing is, I never have the balls to actually say not going. I just leave it unanswered if I'm not going.
I don't know. I think am I fuck is kind
That's
of
funny.
Am I fuck?
I know. Saying that, I don't get invited to many events nowadays.
Well, that'll soon change. I've seen your posts on Instagram and what have you. People are falling in love with you, mate. They're falling in love with you. They're not. He's crawling. But the thing is, let's talk about some wrestling. Let's talk about some wrestling, shall we? First of all, lots going on.
Huge. I mean,
just now, even though we're wrapping up the year.
Yep, it's a busy couple of weeks. Of course, AEW are getting cooking towards. I've seen people saying that we never gave AEW a lot of love in the last
I did
episode.
see that, and that's fair. That's fair.
But today I will, because when we get to a certain segment, I'm going to bring up AEW. But we're cooking towards AEW's pay-per-views.
That's right.
Survivor Series is round the corner.
Got lots to say about Survivor Series, actually. That's in my likes and dislikes for this week. So I think, will we kick off there?
We'll kick off there.
Right. I'm going with I'm going to go with the dislike first.
Right, okay.
Where are my regular elimination matches?
I missed them, man.
At Survivor Series.
I missed them.
See, as a wrestling fan, man, it used to be so awesome seeing guys from different brands, people that had no business being together apart from they were maybe like faces and heels.
Exactly.
That'd maybe be like the only thing who would sometimes work together. And even that could be combustible. And it was always a way to kind of, sometimes it could kind of start WrestleMania.
It could do so much for certain wrestlers as well.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Giving them the rub.
Exactly. Like the one I always think back to in recent memory was and the one that most people talk about is Dolph Ziggler back in 2014. When Sting came back, debuted in WWE, and it was huge because Dolph Ziggler took on like all 5 members of the team, and I mean, he was already kind of a star, but that was like, whoa, what a performance.
Made a big difference. Everyone can remember when it's going back a fair bit now, when CM Punk teamed up with G-Generation X, and who was getting chanted through the building? It was CM Punk, but having him standing next to those guys, I always remember maybe one day we'll do a rebooker tier of what if CM Punk could join DX and move straight on from that. Imagine.
Book it. Book it. Do it for me. I love it.
It would be interesting, wouldn't it? It would be interesting, wouldn't it?
But you're right, because it's like there's so many times over the years where there's been like weird combinations that on paper you're going, is that going to work? But then you get to the match itself and you go, that was great, because it's something different. It's not as if it's booking whatever's happening in the foreseeable future sometimes. Yeah. It's just giving you that for one night, and your imagination can run wild.
And I used to really like it because it could be a surprise for us. I know they might turn out, but what about it's a long-term storytelling? Well, make it part of the story. Yep. I mean, we're seeing flashes of that. I mean, Big Bronson Reed turning up as a part of, we assume, an interim member of the Bloodline.
Of Team Solo.
I'm not exactly sure how that works. I mean, he's Big Bronson's a Kiwi, I think.
Yep, that's right. No, he's Australian.
Is he Australian? Is he Australian? I beg your pardon.
Yeah, he's from Black Forest or something.
Is he? Right, so, I mean, I guess there might be some claim there somewhere that he's a part of the Bloodline. I'm not exactly sure. Seems tenuous to me.
He's got the vibe of a Bloodline member,
I mean, he doesn't look out of place. I want to make that very clear. But I guess on the other side of it, I mean, the guys are related by... I liked it. I like it, but seeing someone where he shouldn't be, working with people that he wouldn't necessarily work with, that's exciting. So I miss those matches, going all the way down to the bottom of the card. Sometimes those matches were some of my favourites.
They're a lost art. Yeah. With the War Games format. I mean, listen, I touched on it last week, so it's no secret to anybody who watched episode 1. I'm getting quite tired of War Games. Yeah. I think that it needs to be brought into a kind of position where the match is brought in when it's needed rather than just scheduled every year. So bringing back these matches, there was such a good opportunity, I think, and maybe they'll do it next year. I would love to just see Team Aldous versus Team Pierce.
Yes.
Have that go. And even if they want to get the spandex on, let them do it.
Even that for a War Games kind of makes more sense.
Aye.
Like, I get that, this is a blood feud and all that, and it feels like they're racing through it. We talked about this last week, and go back and watch the episode, but we're kind of hoping there's like more layers to come. More layers to come in this. I really do, but I miss my old traditional Survivor because it used to kind of sit on its own as a bit of a fun pay-per-view. Yep. You know, there wasn't titles on the line. It was very rare that it happened. In fact, the first time I think they put the world title on the line in Survivor Series was Taker versus Hogan, which even then seemed like, fuck. I mean, you think about that. That's a guy that was 1 year into his reign. 1 year into his reign. And the company is getting the big one, getting the match. I mean, that shows you how long-term booking takes ages and what you got to pay your dues. It's like, Taker was the hottest thing going in 1991, and he beat Jimmy Snuka, thankfully, and then went all the way to Hogan.
God, don't get me started on Jimmy Snuka.
Don't get me started.
I already had a bit of conversation about Mike Tyson before we went live. We don't need to get on Jimmy Snuka.
Well,
I get a dislike out of the way.
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, so one of the dislikes I've got kind of ties into Survivor Series this year, more in particular. I really, really dislike taped Raws and SmackDowns. Right, but I want to caveat that by saying, listen, I understand for the workers themselves, this is great. We were talking to someone backstage at ICW at the weekend who was saying that the morale is so
sky high. Sky high,
and you know what? I'm all up for it. These guys work so fucking hard that they deserve days off. They deserve time to spend with their families, whether it's in America, whether it's over here, Australia, wherever. I am 100% for giving them less time. But I do hate the tape Raws and SmackDowns. Yeah. In this day and age, it is impossible to avoid spoilers. I know people might say log out of social media. For guys like me, social media is my job.
Like going all the way back to when they originally did the TV tapings, right? Yeah. Spoilers were out on the internet then.
Exactly.
Right? And I mean,
Twitter didn't exist then.
Twitter didn't exist, but I can't. The internet existed. Let's put it that way. You could find out even sometimes WWE's on online shows, which. Man,
spoil stuff. They still do it.
I would love to be able to take you back to the old WWE.com, by the way. I would love to be able to take you back when it would be like a Windows Media this size.
A wee tiny box. But it's not even necessarily the spoilers that just annoy me. It's the actual show itself. Yeah. I watched Raw on Monday, and obviously it was a taped episode. Yes. It was a double taping last week, and it's the edited in crowd noise, it's the unnatural reactions, it's everything that it doesn't feel like a Monday Night Raw. Yeah. And I'm starting to think, is there ways around this? Is there ways that they can, especially with SmackDown, I think it might be easier. Maybe Raw is a bit more difficult because it's always been a Monday night, but if the networks can provide something, can they maybe move days? Can they maybe go SmackDown
wonder
on Tuesday? I don't know.
I wonder if it's a case of, well, we're taking advantage of this. Why we've got this makeshift deal with the USA Network and with there's the USA Network is back on, isn't it? Why we've got this kind of makeshift deal. We're making the most of it, because when it's on Netflix, I don't know if they're going to get away with it.
Nah.
Like, they would have to do, you think about it, they'd have to do a full production taping on another day of the week in order to take it off. And even then with pay-per-views and with SmackDown, you don't want to start getting into WCW territory. Like, if you've ever seen, I know people have got poor opinions of sometimes Kevin Nash's booking and what have you, right, which wasn't the best, let's face it.
Yep.
But if you go back and you see him just laying out how much TV they needed to write a week and how they had to do like several different tapings ahead, that's why Thunder effectively meant nothing, because they didn't know what they were doing on Monday Night Show.
Exactly.
Why WWE, I don't think, would ever find themselves in that trap. I think it's those mistakes is something we want to leave. You don't want somebody booked in a main event of a TV taping. This is going to sound cruel, but I'm just saying it. Dies, has an accident, something comes.
It's obviously something that you need to consider.
Yeah, you know.
Reality.
So they have to be careful with that, particularly for us wrestling fans, because we are ravenous when it comes to getting information. And even with guys like news outlets like What Culture and Cultaholic and what have you, have got very much the finger on their pulse. You know, I nearly said Dave Meltzer, but I think he's.
Oh well, listen,
I think
he's having a bad year.
He's got a credibility bankruptcy going on now.
He's having a really bad year.
Oh, fuck him.
But I agree. But yeah, it's not that I'm complaining. It's just it winds me up, because there's so many things that happen on, say, the SmackDown, and you're like, well, we know already what happens in Raw, so it kind of, you're sitting watching SmackDown going, is there a point in watching? It kind of turns you off watching it. You've nailed
it right there. They want people must watch in this TV show. I mean, I'm going to full disclosure, I do not stay up to watch Monday Night Raw.
I do. Well, for the first hour.
That's fair.
First hour.
I don't. I usually catch it and watch it the next day. Yeah. Depends where my day's going. See, if I've come in late from a gig on a Monday night and my blood's up and it's like, fuck it, I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw. I'll go to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's fine.
Exactly.
It's fine. Particularly with the dodgy fire stick you got me. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. But
totally legal.
Totally legal. But man, you don't want anything going away from being must-see TV. It can recover. We're leading into, this is my media degree coming out. I can't believe I'm even using this, right? So it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because you look at Doctor Who, for example, and they went like, only 6 million people tuned into Doctor Who, but then it got 10 million rewatches on BBC iPlayer and on various different other things. So you consider that's 15 million people watched that. Right, which is a huge number. It's a huge number.
That's massive.
Chances are, like, well, 10 years ago, 10 million of those people wouldn't have watched it. They would have only watched it on TV.
Because they missed it.
But 5 million would have been considered poor.
Aye.
Like fucking Saturday Night TV, the National Lottery used to get 17 million people watching it.
They were literally talking about that last night because it's the 30th anniversary.
There you go. You know what I mean? It used to be like huge. So, but I don't know if it'd be the same with wrestling, because I've just mentioned shows that are an hour long. Wrestling is 3 hours long, like 2 to 3 hours long. Man, and spoilers are out there, that will be chopped up. And if you're going to do it, you're going to have to start looking at your numbers and looking at your advertising from all the other places, all the legs, like, that clip got this million views on such and such, this million views. And I always look at the YouTube views.
YouTube views are interesting.
They can be very interesting.
They can be misleading sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I remember, going on and seeing like segments that are getting 1.7 million views, for example, and it's like something that you would have maybe skipped.
Exactly. I think he's one, and I know he's still hot, like LA Knight coming out and hitting somebody. I got 1.7 million, but then one of the key segments on the show is getting like
300k or something.
300k, and you're like, what the fuck?
It's nuts. So it's just one of those things that I often wonder to myself, will there ever be a point in our lifetime where they always use the phrase that wrestling is the only sport that doesn't have an off season, and I'm wondering if our lifetime, especially with how much change we've already seen, if Triple H will be an advocate for maybe bringing in something like an off season eventually, especially at this time of the year where things do cool down.
When I was younger, like they used to be kind of an off season around about Christmas. You'd start getting like repeats or matches that shows that were clearly pre-taped. So like Superstars was a bigger thing on Sky, which isn't as long ago as you think. Because for some people, like if you didn't have Sky Sports, you weren't watching Monday Night Raw.
You're watching the Superstars and WWE Bottom Line.
That's it. That's all you could get to watch, right? And even then they were like, "This happened to Monday Night Raw," and you were like, "Oh, Monday Night Raw looks good."
Exactly. I used to wait to go to my granny's to watch Raw because she had Sky Sports. So I'd stick on Bottom Line. I'd be like, "Oh, that's what happened in Raw," and then I'd have to run up to my granny's and watch the rest.
Or you'd only get to watch the pay-per-view or something.
Exactly.
So it's a different time, man. It's a different time.
It's changed so much.
But you could... I like things to be... I do like things to be present through in the Christmas and New Year period, but that's more of a personal preference.
Exactly.
See Christmas and New Year, see that gooch in the year between Christmas and New Year.
The worst time of the year.
I despise
Nobody
it.
likes that time of the year.
I hate that. I don't like the first week of 2025. Fuck it, man.
Horrible.
Please give us some wrestling.
Yep.
But do rest the roster. I think you nailed it there. Like
they deserve
morale is sky high. That needs to be a thing. That needs to be a thing now for everybody. Everybody.
100%.
Don't just not use people on TV. Are we into likes yet? Or we're still on dislikes?
Have you got another dislike? I've got another dislike.
I do have another dislike, and I am going to chuck some love.
Oh, he's took the glasses off.
I am going to chuck.
That's serious.
I am going to chuck some love first of all to AEW, right? And we'll come back to that.
Do you know what? Just spoiler alert. Both of my likes this week,
very nice,
are AEW.
Brilliant.
Both of them.
But I've got to do a dislike. Right, get somebody to look at your roster. Get somebody to look at the morale in your roster. Get somebody to look at even what members of your roster are saying. If Tony has like a chilled out attitude to what people are saying, I'm using this because Danhausen.
Right? I was going to say, is this because of the Danhausen
thing?
Yeah, I've seen it.
I like Danhausen. I like Danhausen before he came in. I think the whole putting teeth in someone's mouth as a foreign object is hysterical, right? And I know some people go, "Oh, he's a one-trick pony, is this and that." It's like, well, whatever. Like he's doing pretty well for himself. One of the top merchandise sellers in AEW.
His stats are crazy.
But he has barely been on TV in about like 4 or 5 months.
He's not been... The last time he was on TV was like... I think right at the start of the year.
Yeah.
And it's longer.
And his contract should have come up next year.
Yep.
He's been saying recently, like, there's been no communication at all. Like, that kind of shit goes all the way back to the CM Punk press conference. Mm-hmm. Get that shit checked out. There needs to be a more direct line to somebody. I don't know who it is. There needs to be a more direct line to somebody going, "Hey, pissed off, not getting used. Look, we're in the middle of changing over into this new deal. This show's coming. You're going to be featured in that. There's been a conversation. Sorry we haven't been in touch. Don't worry, everything's fine." Now, Danhausen then got some shit like, "Oh, apparently he's more favouring his indie deals." It's like, but that's from a self-employed person. Like, that's gigs in the diary. Yep. That'd be like me going, "Oh, but Billy, you're not bigging up the Comedy Store in London. What? I don't actually have any gigs in for the Comedy Store in London right now. I've got to get these gigs in that I'm doing now in November. Like, why would I be doing that? I'm probably going to get gigs. That's cool, but what do you want me to do?
It all comes back to that tribalism aspect, isn't it? It's like there's just some people who don't think AEW can do, and just like WWE, there's some people that think that neither company can do any wrong. So like when they see Danhausen coming out and saying, "Oh, AEW's not doing this, that, the next thing," they're like, "Oh, that must be you. That can't be AEW."
I wonder if there's a little bit of frustration from Danhausen because he's looking at like the Outrunners, for example.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
And where's the big girl? I haven't seen her in the last couple of weeks. No, it's not a crush. It's not disgusting. Behave yourself. But and I think Danhausen does have a place in AEW. I hope there's no tribalism and there is no issues backstage because of people he's been friends with or not friends with. Man, they need to get like I want to make this clear. I am on AEW's side and have been since day one. I've pretty much bought all the pay-per-views. I watch Dynamite. I try and watch Collision when I can. I am on their fucking side, man. But they need to get this shit sorted.
It's like they don't have a talent relations guy at all. Like, it just doesn't exist. And I think what seems to be most striking to me is you've got WWE, who right now are enjoying their probably best ever period for backstage morale, as we've spoken about.
Yeah, by the sense of it.
And AEW kind of feels like that Wild West sort of way that you always hear in the documentaries of old WWE/WWF. Like, maybe not as bad as if they've got guys running about pumping steroids and shagging each other's misses and stuff like that. It doesn't seem quite that level of unhinged yet, but it's, it seems like there's guys that just hate working with each other. And did you see Punk's interview yesterday? And he kind of came out and said, like, there's some guys there that just don't understand the business, and that is. And listen, I don't mean to just sound like I'm constantly sucking up CM Punk's ass, which I know I do, but I don't think he's wrong. I think there is guys there who probably just don't understand the business, not at that level.
I think people forget as well, like AEW's been around for nearly 5 years.
Yep.
Right? There has been a period of involvement, but we're in a place right now where it doesn't seem, it feels, despite the fact they've just signed this new deal, right? It feels like something needs to get sorted. Mm-hmm. Like and I don't want to do like, you were too young to remember this, but I remember even reading about this when WCW went, right, we're throwing everything out, we're going to start almost again, we're going to get these now. No. And I ain't talking anything like that. You need to start bending the ears maybe of some veterans in the business, looking at storyline, Bucks, you're in or you're out. You're in or you're out.
They're back. What are they doing?
I don't know that.
They're one of my dislikes.
They had this mad face turn and then mad heel turn, and then at the end it's all handshakes and respect and all that because you need to be a face on your way out. Like, I don't fucking know. Well, just for that one pop in the return, I ain't hating on the Bucks. I'm not really hating on the Bucks. I want to make that clear, but it's but you're the EVPs. You're the EVPs, right? What the fuck is going on? Are you more concerned with your shit, or is there a problem backstage? Because you see, if there's a problem and you think in the creative world or in the managing backstage, you need to bring in some more bodies that people are going to go, this guy. And it ain't Eric Bischoff. It ain't Dutch Mantel, who's all but retired. It ain't these guys. Billy, you're going to go, who's the guy? I don't have the answer. But I'm not earning millions every year to give you it.
That's like when people ask me, like, who should Celtic be signing? I'm like, I'm not a scout. I'm not a
scout, man.
I don't know. Like, don't ask me.
I'm not a scout.
I like it though. Very good. And it kind of will come on to one of my likes in a moment when I get through my last dislike. I have a like that I think is one of the things that I'm glad to hear about AEW. I was about to say ECW. AEW, but we'll come on in a minute because my last dislike, and I want to get this one down and out of the way very quickly, is, well, I'll ask you a question first. What is your thoughts on the Performance Centre as a venue?
Wow.
Because one of my dislikes is the Performance Centre as a venue. I hate it. I detest it.
I never really liked Full Sail. I went and saw a taping of Full Sail.
Really?
I went and saw a taping of Full Sail, which was really which it used to. I mean, it did make me laugh when they started putting up like pictures of what the guys in the ring are promoting against. Because, but I was backstage at the Performance Centre. Was there with a friend. In fact, if anyone looks at my social media, they can probably figure out who it was actually. So I was there with Damo. Just before Damo got signed, and I think his other half Nikki had already been signed, and mutual friends with Mr. Eagle who worked there at the time. And I was in Florida on holiday, and it's like I can't miss the opportunity.
Oh no, of course not. You got to go.
And I went out and hung out with someone the night before, having some drinks, and it was like, fuck, I'm going to go down. It'll be great. So but I didn't care for it. I did like that it was dark.
Aye.
I did like that it was dark, and I did like the big stage and what have you.
Right, okay. This is interesting because as someone who's never at Full Sail, I really liked Full Sail.
Did you?
From a television point of view, I just cannot stand the Performance Centre, Billy.
Well,
even last night when I put on NXT, that's why I put it in this list.
I always find it really interesting when you get to see what they actually record in.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I went and saw when they filmed Impact at Universal.
Yes.
A couple of years earlier. My wife must always love a holiday to Florida.
Well, by the way, we're just going over to see wrestling.
Oh, the last time we went over to Florida, I was asked several times, just like, somebody asked me if I wanted to do a gig out there.
Aye.
And then it was asked, did I fancy going down? And I went, like, I level with you. This is a holiday and a holiday only. It's not worth it. It's also not worth getting divorced in order to just go and see some wrestling. So, no, you were all right. But I did go and see the Impact Zone when it was at Universal. And they did pay-per-views there, and I was blown away by how small it was.
Yeah.
I was
tiny.
What an amazing use. But the thing I did notice, and I guess I've got a little bit of a background in TV production, is they had corners lit that were false perspective.
Right, okay.
Like they gave you the impression like the corner was quite far up.
There wasn't,
and it wasn't.
Yeah. So it was just the way they used the light.
Just the way they'd lit in it with a shot, so it looked like it was further away.
See, these guys are always great.
Yeah,
stuff like
that stuff's fucking amazing.
But I had
and WCW had a plaque there. I've never seen that.
Talking about WCW, because remember all these creative venues that they used, you know, well, everybody always talks about the Mall of America and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What made me put this in my list was I watched NXT a couple of weeks ago at the 2300 in Philadelphia, and I fucking loved it. It was great. It just felt fantastic.
It looked great. It looked great on camera.
It looked great. It sounded great.
And it's not big either, so I'm told.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's
not big.
tiny. And then next week they're back in the Performance Centre, and I just feel like the place is soulless. And I don't know if that's a crowd problem as well, if it's the same people there every week and it just gets a little bit tiresome.
I always compare the Performance Centre, where it is now, or how it looks now, to, remember when Wilder Sport tried to bring...
Oh, yeah, aye, of course.
And how that looked. It looks like that.
Aye.
It looks really... And again, I know Wilder Sport, I've just done some tapings and all that. This is not a pop at anyone, but it looked like... Prime time, Saturday night, any minute now, someone's going to come out with a deck of cards and go, so, this is what you could have won. It just... It doesn't... Hey, I don't want to sound like an old guy. Wrestling evolves and what have you. But there's something about it that doesn't look right.
I think that NXT as a brand is at the point where they can tour. And I'm not saying tour big arenas like Raw and SmackDown do.
But you'd like to see it in more places.
Yeah, because if they done what they done in Philadelphia, yes, it was obviously with the help of a couple of big names, the likes of Bubba Ray, who was booked in the card. People were talking about Dawn Marie being back. But they can go to venues similar sizes, and I'm very sure that they can comfortably sell out.
I guess one of the things is, like, they are doing house shows in everything and everywhere and everything from, like, high school gyms to tiny arenas and what have you. I guess it depends. I get that might depend on, like, USA Network and stuff like that. Maybe like
CW now, innit?
Yeah,
so
this is what we need right now.
Yeah.
But I take your point. There's something about it that does. I guess you kind of feel like if that camera turns, there's a bare wall.
Oh, exactly. It is like I always hate it when I see people like sharing it as if it's like some like, oh, look at that. There's nobody sitting over there. Like they physically can't. And it's a developmental brand. It's to help them.
It's also, and with a cold like a day on it, it's also a TV studio.
Yeah.
It's a TV studio you play wrestling in. It can work. Sometimes it doesn't work, and it can leave it a wee bit cold. And that's just the way it is. If they can find a way to get another 300 bodies in.
I think that would make a world of difference.
I think it would make a world of difference, and I think they would come. I think you're right.
We'll soon see, because there's all the talk that there was rumours that the Performance Centre is moving.
Which is
to Vegas,
which is but they've been quelled. They've been shot down. They've been shot down.
Well, there you go.
I think they could do a remolding it though.
I think it's 10 years old now, and the company is at a completely different point from where it was 10 years ago, where I think it's actually calling for maybe a bigger Performance Centre for both a gym purpose and TV purpose. So, maybe in the next few years there'll be developments.
It's really like a TV making place. So making place or studio.
Right.
A TV making place.
Do you want to talk about likes?
I do. I'm going to go straight to AEW on this.
It's very AEW centric.
Well, I'm not getting accused. Well, the next one's not, so don't worry about it. But like I say, I'm a fan of AEW. People feel like they're getting a wee bit lost just now, but I am enjoying some of the new blood that's coming to the company. I'm going to say it. I fucking love the Heart Syndicate. Nice. I love it. It is big deal. It is top draw. It is bringing up everyone that's coming in with them. I love that. I just like I loved it in WWE, and it never got a chance, and it did feel like a big deal. Deal. For me, these guys really need to go for it. I think it is a great use of the resources that Tony Khan has. I think it could open up opportunities across the board. I don't know if they're going to use them as an outright face faction or a heel faction yet. They kind of, and they're letting that simmer a wee bit, which I think is great. They need people to work with, I guess would be my only concern. It sounds like I'm about to go into a dislike, but who's the biggest face? The biggest face in
AEW?
Yeah, who do you think?
Well, when he was...
See, the fact you actually can't say that, that's a problem, isn't it?
Exactly, because I was going to say, for me, it probably would have been Bryan Danielson, but he's
so
like,
I've got to say maybe Swerve?
Yeah, he was going to be my second.
Yeah, Swerve.
But then, like, because he's kind of went back and forth between being a heel, then a face.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
It's a difficult question to answer.
It's a tricky one, but I love the Hurt Syndicate. They brought them in. The other guys on the roster. I mean, I'm loving. I always get his name wrong. You'll be able to pronounce it correctly. He's currently the international champion.
International champion. Who is it again? Who is it?
Is it Takeshi?
Takeshita.
Takeshita. I always get it wrong.
Yes.
Takeshita's been fantastic since he came in.
Yep.
We'd love to see. I mean, but again, we need some faces, guys. We really, really do. And it sounds like I've taken a liking to a dislike. I really like AEW, but we need some faces in there, boys.
I love how your first like for today for AEW is the Hurt Business. It's a great faction.
Oh, which I love. I think it's great.
Do you want to hear what my...
I guess what I'm saying is you should make them faces.
Do you want to hear what my like
You
is?
hate them.
No, this is...
Oh,
this is my like. And this may be controversial to some,
Go on,
but I need to do it because I feel very passionately about it.
Oh, here we go.
What's your thoughts on the Costco guys? Because
do you know what?
I'm absolutely loving this.
If it gets a couple of eyes on it,
listen,
and you know what? It shows off that QT Marshall is value for money.
Exactly. Look, listen,
there's a guy you could get behind as a face.
I think that this involvement with the Costco guys, for as controversial as it may be, I am a huge Costco verse fan. Right, I love the extended Costco universe.
Costco verse.
Yes, the Costco verse.
Oh my God, I've been sick of my mouth.
The Rizzler,
how dare you?
The Rizzler and Big AJ and Big Justice and all the rest of them. I love it. And do you know what? I think their involvement in AEW is only good because it, number one, gets eyes.
Definitely.
These guys are...
A guy with his fat wings, definitely. It's a way to get them going.
Mate, these two are right now probably the most popular people on social media. They're
huge.
Getting huge numbers.
Do you know, it's one thing that AEW have always done over the years, which I've actually quite liked. When they even did things like there was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a terrible match.
I don't know, man. I thought it was entertaining.
It was entertaining, but it was a terrible match.
The fact that anytime Jeff Jarrett wrestles, I always enjoy
love
it.
Jeff, to be fair.
I always enjoy it. They should give him a Terry Funk story. Like, he could be a face, old hand, going for the title one more time. You could do that.
They probably could.
You could do that with Jeff. But I don't have an issue with that. I mean, with AEW, the other side of the pandemic, you would see stuff like, you saw Kevin Smith in the crowd.
Yep.
You would see, and it was like, oh, but these guys probably go to WWE. It's like, no, you're probably right. But when there was a couple of faces that you go, oh, that's quite cool that he's there.
Aye, and
that's quite cool that they're there.
The way that I think about it is, like, as I already mentioned, it helps get eyes on it. But like this guy,
I'm trying to think of
Big Boom AJ. I'll call him.
He's not the worst for a start, right? He does have some wrestling.
Well, that's literally what I was going to say. Is like Big Boom AJ is a former professional. Well, former wrestler. I don't know how far we can take the word professional here, but he was a former wrestler.
Yeah.
And you know,
he's got gear.
He seems like he genuinely cares as well. So, and I love that. See, when celebrities get involved and they genuinely care about it, and it's not just a payday for them. They're actually invested. I have no, and it could be as silly as you like. Whoever the celebrity is, I will, unless they're a convicted rapist.
Yes,
I am pretty fine with them being involved and on board. And do you know what?
I didn't put it in my dislikes. You can't give a go.
He's a stand-up guy to me. Look, listen. I think his relationship with his wee boy is great. I think they look like a right laugh. I love them. I think it's just fun. Professional wrestling is meant to be silly sometimes. And this whole QT Marshall thing, him doing his remix of the Boom song, I love it.
Which I have to love it. Do you know the thing that I really liked about it was he'd gone to the trouble of making his eyebrows look like really black.
Exactly.
Like really pencil big and black.
I never thought, see if you told me 2 years ago that QT Marshall would be like involved in something like that.
Hey, I've got respect for QT Marshall because number one, when he did a couple of he did a RJ City's thing, Hey W, and he was talking about like, you've had some work done and all that type of thing. He went, yeah, I got the money. I'm going to use the money to make myself look good. Got my hair plugs done, got my teeth done. I'm in the gym constantly.
If you own it, then fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. And part of me went like, good for you.
So
good for you.
You know, I'm looking forward to it. I think he's on Dynamite tonight, Big AJ, and then he's on the Zero Wibber. And I'm telling you right now, I
wonder if they'll cheer him.
Well, I think they will. And also, what I'm really interested to see is, so on social media, of course, there's this whole thing between wrestling fans, and it's virgin behaviour when they compare the numbers of it. How many people watched Dynamite this week, or how many people watched Raw this week? I hate it.
Isn't it?
I fucking hate it. But that 0 hours live on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Watch. I think they'll do really good numbers.
Hey, 0 hour is good value. I mean, I've watched.
I think they'll do really good numbers.
I've been online moaning about 0 hour. Not moaning, going, I'm watching 0 hour. And it's got people to then watch and went, oh, fuck, I'll buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll buy the pay-per-view because
listen,
you would hate to miss out on it.
There's going to be some amount of people of all ages. And I'm talking about be guys on TikTok who enjoy their content, right all the way to adults who maybe just want the laugh. Like, there's got to be a lot of adults who go, let's see the state of this big agey. And then they'll watch the 0 hour and go, that was fun. Yeah, and that's good.
And I'll tell you this, he's a big unit.
He is, he's huge.
He's a big unit.
I just wish I wish the Rizzler was there.
You wish I will say one thing though, Mr. AJ. I think you could have got away with a singlet. I'm just saying.
Maybe we'll take that advice on board. There's still time.
Bro, in the business, you could have worn a singlet, and everyone knows what that means. You know what I mean? Let's put it this way: I'm wrestling. I'm wearing a fucking singlet. I'll tell you that. I'm going the Kevin Owens route.
So am I, by the way, 100%. I'm just going to jump into my other quickly,
yes, please,
because it's AEW related. It kind of ties on to one of the things you were talking about with the direction of where AEW are going. The news came out yesterday. The rumours that AEW are now preparing to switch to smaller, more intimate venues.
Okay.
And one of the venues that was pointed out was the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Lovely. Love that.
Philadelphia.
Love that.
Another one is, I can't remember the city exactly, but there's some theatre. They're doing a 5,000-seater theatre.
Love that. Love that as well.
I love it. It's about time.
Unusual venues, I think, would be the way to go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can even look at... I'm going to give love to ICW right here in Glasgow. I don't think other people would have looked at the Garage. I don't think other people would have looked at the Barrowlands. We started off in like Classic Grand. I mean, the cool thing about those venues, like if you ever watched the Barrowlands shows, you would go, that's the fucking Barrowlands.
Yep.
Straight away, and it has a different vibe to it, a different energy, and even going back to the NXT show from the other week.
Yeah.
I think that's a great move. Doing these big arenas and having to compete, you don't have to.
No.
Wouldn't it be great if you did shows in those week after week? But
I think that these intimate venues and different venues in themselves are a bit of a draw, because I think
saying intimate as well. These are thousands.
Yeah, of course.
These are thousands.
I'm just going with what the reports are.
Yeah.
So, but I think in themselves they're a draw, because I think as a wrestling fan, sometimes people are really excited and intrigued to see, even if they're just switching on for the start of the show, they want to see how it's set up, they want to see what the stage is like, they want to see
people going crazy.
People like that. So I think it's a draw in itself. I think it's a great move from AEW. It's about time, because once again, not to get involved in all that tribalistic nonsense talking about how people are at shows, it has got a little bit sad sometimes seeing these half-empty arenas.
Yeah.
So going for these smaller venues, I think it's I think in the long run, it'll be great for them.
I've got to say, like, one thing to add on to that, I'll just be happy that people are going to spend a little less time reporting.
Oh, yeah.
On the half-empty arenas. They've only got 3,000 people in a 10,000. They've got 3,000 people. Like, that's massive.
I would kill to be in front of 3,000 people.
Oh, my God, yes. So it's... and I hope that leads to bigger international shows. I hope that... I mean... AEW, do I think they could fill the Hydro? I'd love to see them try.
I think they could.
I think they could. Like if
the UK crowd love AEW,
if they brought a Full Gear over here or another show like that. But they went from Wembley. Yeah, but things are changing in the selling tickets world as well. I want to make that clear. It's not quite as cut and dry as it once was.
Not when you're getting forced to pay for Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing.
Well, there is that, isn't there? But I would love to see it. I think that's great news. And I thoroughly agree with that. That's 100% on me.
So that's my likes this week. Yes. Big up AEW.
Now, like for me, I've got to say, so I'm going back to, I did TNA last week. So I'm going to talk about WWE this week. I've got to say, I'm going into the women's division again. Fuck me, do I love Nia Jax.
There you go. That's good, because I've grown on her a lot.
I've always kind of liked her, but then there was that period where clearly WWE realised as well that it wasn't really working. Yep. But you see her work since she came back has been stellar.
She's been much better.
Yeah, she's good in the ring. She's obviously put a whole load of work into her physique as well, without kind of, and this isn't body shaming or anything, but she's clearly went, I want to maintain a look. So she's clearly went, right, I'm going to work on cardio, I'm going to work in conditioning, I'm going to work in strength.
She's done the things that she needs to do while also keeping what made her unique.
Exactly. And I think there's such big kudos to do that because, hey, she could go to the gym, she could look, and again, she would look weird. I mean, she's a stunning looking woman. She's absolutely stunning.
Great, man.
Absolutely stunning looking woman. But as well as her in-ring work, I mean, that's one of the things. If she is chasing a certain level of fitness and conditioning, it's hard to maintain that. Yeah. So hats off to that. I think it's great. The work she's doing with Tiffany Stratton as well is really bloody entertaining. I love Nia Jax. She's been on my TV because she winds up crowds. She's bloody entertaining to watch.
She's a really good heel.
Yeah, she's a really good heel. She's a really good heel. Never really worked as a face.
Nah.
And as a heel, and on the other end of this, like when her and the Tiffany Stratton thing, whatever's going to happen at some point, God, I hope Nia stays the heel. I really, really do. I don't think that WWE are really keen to make the mistake again of turning her face. I think when they turned her face back in 2018, at first people were okay with it, but I think that's maybe what killed her a wee bit. They were all about kind of. It was all the body shaming and the bullying thing and what have you. That Alicia, Alexa Bliss was doing.
We're going to. Spoiler alert, we're going to come on to touching a little bit on that when we get to Rebooker Tia.
Oh, good. I think Nia Jax is bloody entertaining. There's some great stuff happening just now on SmackDown and what have you. A couple of things getting lost as well, but we've done our hates. Nia Jax, boom, keep it going. Boom! Oh, for God's sake.
Right, are we going to go into Rebooker Tia? Is that
Shall
what's
we?
next? Is that what's
all right,
next?
now Rebooker Tia is a feature on the show where both of us, either of us, are going to take on either a challenge from you or one that has set the other, or maybe there's just an idea that they've been sitting on for so long and wanting to share it with the world, how they are better than some of the biggest minds in pro wrestling, or even fixing a butterfly effect or an event that didn't happen and nearly did. We're going with Ryan this week. Yep. Ryan, what have we got?
Right, well, I just want to throw out a disclaimer straight away. I feel like over the course of this show, there's going to be one man who's evidently better at this segment, and that's Billy.
Oh, fuck.
I have never...
well, trust me, I got some shit for the Bushwhackers thing.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
A couple of people go like, Bushwhackers never win. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like, go watch your wrestling history, you prick.
So, I've never found...
But that's the thing. It can be something that never should have happened, never could have happened.
Yeah. I'm one of those guys who... I like booking things that could happen. So right now, I think I could book a better way into WrestleMania 41.
Very nice.
Rather than booking things that have already happened.
That's fine.
But I've given it my go.
I love it.
I've given it my go, and I have gone for... And this might affect your thoughts because...
I thought it might have affected me.
No.
I'm winning the Royal Rumble. I am winning the Royal Rumble.
Billy here, you went to WrestleMania 34, correct?
Yes, I did.
I'm rebooking WrestleMania 34.
Thank fuck.
Because WrestleMania 34 was one of those shows that should have been great.
Wasn't.
Could have been great and was pretty meh. As a guy who was there, how was it when you were there?
Oh man, like I always wanted to go to WrestleMania. I've been to 2 WrestleManias in the same city, which I think was a fucking mistake. How the fuck did I manage that?
It's like we're talking about going to WrestleMania 42, and the report came out. It could be in Philadelphia. That's one of the cities it's running. And I was like, no, that's going to happen, isn't it? I love Philadelphia right now. I'd happily go back, but I would love to see someone else. But being there, how was it?
The atmosphere wasn't the same. It really, really wasn't. Right. The show itself was. Do you know what? I hate saying this. Mostly forgettable.
Yeah, mostly. The first half of the show, really good.
Yeah,
I thought. And the second half.
Bray Wyatt making his return was very much a crowd favourite on the night, but a lot of it, God, really not really forgettable. The Taker making his return was kind of cool, but when it was just a squash. Why did it give him 10 minutes?
Well, we'll get to that.
I mean, in saying that though, I do remember watching Taker and going like, fuck me, he looks good. Even from a distance, going like, oh, he's moving.
Yep.
He looked fantastic.
And then it was done. Just like that.
So
match that I had been waiting my whole life for, by the way. I just done like that. Anyway,
they did him rotten on that.
I am going to try and go through that. I don't want us to be here. How long are we into recording? 44 minutes. So
That's all right.
I want to try and get through it as quickly as I possibly can. But you mentioned the butterfly effect. There has to be a butterfly effect.
Yes.
Here. I am changing quite a few things. Going into WrestleMania 34 in the year of 2017, there was a lot of questionable booking decisions.
Yes.
Terrible booking decisions.
Awful.
Number one, Goldberg beating Kevin Owens for the Universal Championship should have never happened, by the way.
An interesting fantasy to play.
Yes.
But did we really need to see it?
So, first of all, Kevin Owens never lost the Universal Championship.
Cool.
Right? Never lost it. He went into WrestleMania 33, had his match with Chris Jericho.
Yep.
Wasn't for the US Championship, was for the Universal Championship.
Love it.
Chris puts
Which
Kevin...
their feud was white hot at the
exactly.
time.
Chris puts Kevin over, as you would expect, and blah, blah, blah. Kevin Owens ends up holding the title all year, right through to WrestleMania 34.
Nice.
Through the help of Sami Zayn, who he teams up with.
So you're bringing that forward.
Yes.
Love
so
that.
obviously they tag teamed at 34. They went up against Bryan and Shane, but we'll come on to that later in the show. Anyway, that happened. So Brock isn't obviously Universal Champion.
Do you know, I completely forgot that match fucking happened.
There you go.
There you go. And it was Bryan's big return as well.
So that's the one big title change I need to get through going into my 34 rebooking. The other one is AJ Styles is not WWE champion going into WrestleMania 34 for me.
Okay,
It's Brock Lesnar. So Brock was Universal champion going into WWE at WrestleMania 34.
Yeah.
But now he's WWE champion because he murdered Jinder Mahal, right? And my fantasy rebooking, he's the one that beat Jinder Mahal for the championship. He beat him in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And won the belt off Jinder, right?
Yeah.
So the two world champions going into WrestleMania 34 are Kevin Owens as Universal champion.
Love it.
After holding it all fucking year. Huge monster reign. And Brock Lesnar. So, WrestleMania 34 opens with Brock Lesnar, because if he's not main eventing, he's opening the show.
Yeah, he wants to get up the road.
He wants to get up the road. So Brock Lesnar opens WrestleMania 34, and he's not got an opponent. It's not Roman Reigns. We're not fucking doing that pointless shit. We didn't need Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
That was, Roman, look at what Roman is now and look at what Roman was then. Like, oh my God, that was, but it's like Cena when they booed Cena. It was completely different heat. Completely different.
Yep. So basically, Brock opens the show, but he's been on a tear since beating Jinder Mahal.
Yes,
he's
indeed.
beat everybody at the pay-per-views. He needs an opponent. He's in the ring. Paul Heyman has opened a challenge to anybody to accept. And who opens WrestleMania 34? Who gets that crowd popping before the show's even got going? Bobby Lashley.
Fuck.
Instead of debuting the night after WrestleMania 34, he debuts at WrestleMania and he beats Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship on his first night back. Place goes fucking nuts.
Would you do it Survivor Series style?
I was thinking of this.
He hurts him, he knocks him out.
Yeah,
it's like something that, like, oh fuck.
I think so. Yeah. I think I would have it in the same style of Goldberg beating Brock, where people are like, I can't believe what I've just seen.
Do you know, if you ever want to go back and watch that match, it is perfectly executed.
Yeah, it's
because the fact that even the commentators go like, oh God, Brock's hurt.
Yeah.
Brock's hurt, which is kind of more of an MMA term.
Yep.
But I love that.
So that's what opens WrestleMania 34.
Pop.
Big, huge return. Cody Rhodes style almost.
Get like me my headband with my fake eyebrows. I am on board.
So that opens the show. And then we get going a little bit kind of as normal. Finn Balor defeats The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. Seth's been taken out the match.
Yeah.
Because Seth doesn't need to be in the match.
Doesn't need to be in the match.
I've got a bigger thing for Seth. Seth is just off the back of beating Triple H at the year before, winning the World Championship in the main event of WrestleMania 31. Yep. He doesn't need to be in an Intercontinental Championship match, let alone winning the Intercontinental Championship at this point of his career.
OnlyFans?
So, we'll soon see. Maybe. So, Finn Balor defeats The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship, just in a one-on-one match. Match probably isn't as good, but it doesn't matter because it's been overshadowed by the return of Bobby Lashley in the opening of the show.
This gets a hard time, do you know that?
Then I love Miz.
I love Miz. He's doing good stuff just now.
And then it gets into Asuka and Charlotte, where I flipped the result. Asuka should never have lost.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
Asuka should never have lost the match.
Stupid.
Waste of time. Waste of time.
It was a lot. That was, you asked me what it was like being there on the day. Lots of wastes of time.
Yeah.
Lots of even Shinsuke versus AJ is like, why isn't he winning?
Yep. Such a wet fart of a mania.
What was the point?
It was just such a...
Yeah.
Right, so Asuka has beat Charlotte. Her undefeated run is going on. Fuck knows when it ends. I've not thought that far forward. They're only rebooking WrestleMania 34, so that changes. United States Championship.
Here we go.
Rusev wins.
Way!
Because that should have happened. And it didn't.
Rusev Day, baby!
Why? And I know I'm just kind of popping the crowd here, right? I'm just giving them what
that's kind of what WrestleMania is meant to be.
Exactly. So Rusev, instead of Jinder Mahal, wins that United States Fatal 4-Way match. Happy days. We've corrected some of the mistakes. And this is where, and then this is the last
Either of those two guys winning that would have been fine.
Yeah.
But Rusev would have been good.
He was the most overacting the company at the time.
He should have bet Cena. They'd have said it.
He should have. I agree.
He should have bet Cena.
And then Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey, Triple H. That still happens. That happens the same way it did. It was a great match. It was probably the highlight of the show for me.
I got to say, on the night, it was probably the crowd favourite.
So I'm keeping that exactly the same. Not touching that happens. Yeah. So this is when my kind of show starts to change a hell of a lot, because it's the second half that really let the show down.
Yes.
First of all, tag titles. We're scrapping Braun Strowman bringing a child into the ring.
Yes.
We're scrapping
so this was the thing, right? If you want to do a review between reality and everyone was kind of like, okay.
What was the point?
Everyone, we all
was
thought...
it John Cone's son?
Yeah, we all thought someone's going to come out. There was a lot of names mentioned. Brock's name at the time was mentioned. There was a lot of names mentioned. And you said it was a very... Mania. Mm-hmm. It was interesting. Mm-hmm. It was an interesting, but it was so a worked old school kind of carny thing.
So if you remember, there was 2 tag title matches on the night.
Yeah,
we had that one for the Raw tag titles where it was Nicholas and Braun versus The Bar, and
Justice for Nicholas.
And then there was a SmackDown tag title match, which was a triple threat between the Usos, the New Day, and Harper and Rowan. I am just merging everybody apart from Braun's been left off the card. Sorry, Braun, you've been scrapped. I'm going for a fatal 4-way TLC tag title match where the winner just we unify the belts.
Yeah.
Because they unified them a couple of years later anyway, so why not just do it here and have a great fatal 4-way between Harper and Rowan, the Usos, the New Day, and The Bar for both tag titles.
Do you know, I'll add something on for Braun if you really want to get Braun on the show. Because
originally what I was going to do was Braun Strowman and his surprise partner was going to be Bray.
Which would have been great.
Which was what I was going to do.
Which would have been great.
I just I thought that my card was too long. That was one of the problems.
If we're going to give Braun a bit of business, comes out and choke slams the shit out of a celebrity. Give him the Kane spot.
Yeah,
give him the Kane
what was his
spot.
Name? Pete Rose.
Give him the modern day Kane spot.
Aye. So anyway, I've merged the 2 title matches. I think it would have been a lot better entertainment. And then we get into The Undertaker and John Cena.
There we go.
Which I, surprisingly, Billy, actually booked in the same way, not the actual match itself, but the lead up to the match.
Yeah,
because
I thought that was all good.
I loved the lead up to the match, and I loved the bit with Elias, and I loved all of that. I thought it was great. What I'm changing though is the match itself. I'm giving them 10-15 minutes.
Yeah. Elias was mad popular on the night as well, by the way.
So I'm having that happen, but having a much better match. And then we get into the final portion of the show where things kind of change. Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, you can keep the same, but I actually turned it into a triple threat and put Mickie James in it because she was just kind of standing at ringside doing nothing. And I think that Mickie James is at WrestleMania. She should be wrestling, not at ringside.
Yeah, hardcore country.
So I turned it into a triple threat. Doesn't matter who wins, you can choose. Book it yourself, whoever wins that match. And then the last 3 matches is where we see a hefty change to WrestleMania 34, and I think what would have been a nicer way to close off the show rather than the damp squib that was Brock Lesnar beating Roman Reigns, and ultimately doing nothing for anybody.
And then throwing the title at Vince.
So AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, that happens, but it's not for the title. It's just a one-on-one match, replaying the classic that they had in New Japan. Just didn't have a title on the line. And do you know what? Nakamura actually goes over.
If you have to put something on it, he's guaranteed the shot at SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. I think whoever wins this probably goes into the program for the title the very next night.
Yeah.
Pretty much what happens.
You got to pick your shot, what title you're going after. Something
exactly.
Like that.
So Styles and Nakamura, they just have an absolute classic. They've got all the pressures of it being a title match off them. Vince McMahon is sitting there not giving a shit because his title match is still to come. That still happens. And then the second last match of the night is what I think Roman Reigns should have done at this WrestleMania.
Here we go.
I don't think he should have fought Brock. I don't think Seth should have been in that triple threat.
Right.
Because I think Seth Rollins should have fought Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. And if it wasn't for an injury, I think this was the night for the Shield triple threat. But Moxley was, of course, fucked.
So how fucked was he though?
He didn't come back to SummerSlam.
That's true.
So he was fucked. And
that's true.
If he was back in time, my main event would have been a Shield triple threat.
Yeah,
it would have been a Shield triple threat.
Moxley was going to be one of my dislikes, but I thought we shouldn't do AEW too much.
Yeah. So Rollins and Reigns happens at Mania. Fuck knows how it's still not happened to this day. Crazy.
They must be saving it.
They must be.
They must be
but
saving it.
It happens on this night, and Seth goes over because Roman's still not quite there, and Seth's just generally better, and that happens. That's the match that leads into the main event, which I have booked, maybe controversially, as main event.
There we go.
But I think it's much better than Brock and Roman. So as I said, Kevin Owens has went into WrestleMania 34 in this monster title reign. Sami Zayn helping him with his mischief.
White hot storyline as well with Chris Jericho.
Of course. But there's a Royal Rumble winner that isn't Shinsuke Nakamura. The Royal Rumble winner is SmackDown General Manager and recently cleared Daniel Bryan.
Well,
so Kevin Owens and Daniel Bryan is locked in, is looking like the main event for WrestleMania.
Why not?
But Kevin Owens is pretty pissed off at everything that's going on. He thinks that the authority are against him. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan have had it out for him. This has been the plan all along to get Daniel Bryan to get that title away from Kevin Owens.
Again, in the same city.
And just a few weeks before WrestleMania, his most trusted confidant, Sami Zayn, turns on Kevin Owens.
Bastard.
And in the main event of WrestleMania 34, we have a triple threat Ring of Honor indie darling style classic between Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Daniel Bryan.
And that was at a point where a face Kevin Owens would have blown the roof off the place.
So
I mean, he's kind of a bit of a face now, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah, he's the biggest face in the company, Billy. I'll have you know, he's right. So that is my main event of WrestleMania 34. That is my whole changed card for WrestleMania 34.
I like it. It's an anomaly. It's like, do you know another rebooker to you, and I'd love to take a shot of it, all things, is one of the worst WrestleManias in history, and that's WrestleMania 9.
Oh, no.
This is going from a boom period for WWE and WWF, I should say, into the 90s with a fucking, with a queef. It was horrible.
Hulk Hogan.
Even that is not the worst thing on the fucking show.
There's a lot about
It's awful. And one of the first WrestleManias I ever watched live on Sky.
So, fuck. The way I thought of it was, I would be interested to see what Billy says because he was there. I just think,
it sounds like a better card.
There's three things that could possibly happen at the end of that WrestleMania, which I think is better than is that it, of Brock beating Roman? Yeah. And that's either A, Daniel Bryan has deja vu and busts remember, because this would have been his first match back. He wins the world title. Well, he's won the Rumble, but his first kind of actual wrestling match back.
Yeah.
So you can either have him going out of New Orleans the same way he did at WrestleMania 30, crowd loving it, yes, whatever. Sami Zayn shocking everybody and winning a triple threat, or you have Kevin Owens just once again go over and as you said, blow the roof off the place. You've got three better options than I think what happened with Brock.
It's a shame for me because I was there and I wasn't enjoying it nearly half as much as I had the first time.
Yeah.
And by that I just mean the entire ambience just was a bit off, really. It just felt like a mania.
At least you had a really cool stage.
Oh, don't get me wrong, the whole place, but I go back to 30, I replay 30 in my head, which is mad to think that's a decade ago, but it is like, but man, it was so much fun. Yep. Even when we kicked off with Austin, The Rock, and Hogan, it was so much fun.
You think about it, both of us, for your first Mania being 30, mine being 40, we both kind of knocked out the park.
Yeah, 40 was a good, 40 was the one that, I did hear it was cold though, and I fucking hate being cold.
Oh, you should have been there, mate. You should have tried. I had to give away my jacket to Scott, my best mate. I had to give him my jacket. So I was just kind of braving it the whole night. And I think the momentum carried me though.
I'll be honest, I think I would have got a whiff of it, and I think I would have been turning up in like a fucking duffel coat or some shit. Look at this asshole in a duffel coat at WrestleMania. It's like, just you fucking wait.
So
you fucking wait.
That was rebooker to you.
And I loved it. Was a belter.
Thank you.
Right. Last week I got done absolutely rotten on our quiz. Yes, yes, no. Which is yes, no.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yes and no questions. You have to guess the wrestler in 60 seconds or less. You can ask any question you want, but the only answer the other person can give is yes or no. Last week it was a brilliant one, and I was even given the 90 seconds. So I'm going to do the same.
Am I getting 90?
You're getting. But then once we're into it, we will be. When we start getting guests and stuff, we're going to take the number down. It's going to be like the Rumble. We're going to work that number.
We doubled. See who can do it in the fastest.
Oh fuck yes! What's a great idea. I love that.
When I'll get a prize at the end of season 1.
When we get guests on, who could do it? I love that. I love that. So you got 90 seconds on this one.
Right. Okay.
Yes and no answers. Last week it was, I forgot who it was. It was Bubba Ray Dudley. Fucking hell. After we'd spent 20 minutes talking about him. But this is a little trickier for this one, right?
Okay.
But I will answer yes and no questions. I may have given you a clue at some point.
Oh.
But have I? That's the question you can ask yourself. Okay. Right, you have 90 seconds. Your time starts now.
Are they still active?
They are not still active as a full-time wrestler.
Right, okay. So, have they been a former world champion in WWE?
No.
Former world champion in TNA?
No.
Former singles champion at all in WWE?
No.
Oh my God. Have they ever been in WWE?
Yes.
Right, okay, so they've been in WWE, never been a world champ, never been a singles champion. It's no Nicholas, is it?
No, it's not Nicholas.
It's like, I got it there. Oh, shit. Have they been a tag team champ?
Yes.
Oh, they've been a tag team champ. They've been a tag team champ in WWE.
No.
No, they've not been a tag team champ in WWE. Right, so not active as a full-time wrestler, been in WWE. Oh, been a tag champion. No, oh my God.
I would suggest you're in the wrong company.
So, did they do a majority of the work in WCW?
Yes.
Right, okay, right. Oh, is it Jeff Jarrett?
No.
Just because we mentioned him earlier.
It's a good guess.
Oh God Almighty! Oh, this is hard. So done the majority of the work. So they were a tag team champion in WCW.
Yes.
Oh shit!
I'll give you a clue.
Oh, go on.
They beat Harlem Heat.
This is before my time.
I know.
Beat Harlem Heat. It's not. Are they like an actual wrestler or celebrity?
The wrestler.
Wrestler. Oh God, I can't think of who beat the Harlem Heat. Oh, is that what it is? Oh, sugar.
It goes by really fast.
Kevin Nash?
No! Your time's up, This is a stinker.
Oh, go on.
This is a stinker, right? Because they won the tag team titles in 1997 for 2.5 weeks of Harlem Heat, Dirty Dick Slater, and Bunkhouse Buck. It was Bunkhouse Buck, who has been in WWE as Jack Swagger's dad.
Really?
Yeah, Jack Swagger's dad is Bunkhouse Buck.
Was that at like the award ceremony thing, or like it was something they were showing off all these awards?
He even took a bump. He even took several bumps.
Oh my God! Because I remember that segment. Because it was like just after he became world champion, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I nearly gave you a clue right there, but I wasn't sure if you would get it from tag team wrestling.
Did you actually give me a clue earlier? Or did you just?
I mentioned last week that it would be somebody from WCW. Tricky one. That was a tricky one.
Have got it.
That was a tricky one.
I could have been here for
I don't know. You were at one point kind of heading into the right era, and I was like going.
See, because that's the thing, and I think
because if you'd have went, did he have an over the top gimmick? I would have had to have said yes, and I think it would have nailed it down.
See, that's one thing that I will get out of the way before we move on to the final kind of segment of the show. If people ever wondered, WCW, obviously number one before my time.
Yeah, totally.
Number two, it's one of those things I've never actually really went back and the only WCW knowledge stuff I have is of documentaries that cover stuff, and then the stuff that you get fed to you constantly.
Shocking.
I've never been one to go back and watch the catalogue.
For some reason, if you ever get a chance just to look through it, I mean, a lot of it I kind of slightly before my time as well, if I'm honest, because I was out pure shagging. That was also the name of my tag team. Haley Carter Pierce. Well, that's a great name for a team, by the way. That's a great name for a team.
Pure shagging. Get Simon to announce.
I've got to admit, somebody like you see the next bash show we do for ICW Pure Shagging. But I watched so many like top 10 videos and like Wrestle Llama and all that type of stuff. Inevitably, someone like Bunkhouse Buck comes up who has this really violent. See, when he debuts in WCW, has this really over the top violent series with Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's actually like it's so out of place. Actually in WCW, but he was like one of the give Bunkies, but then he gets kind of weird and starts doing tag. There's like this weird feud over the tag team titles between Harlem Heat, Sensational Queen Sherry, Colonel Parker. It's like this love triangle, and it's such weird booking for the premier tag team titles at the time.
Great telly.
Let's get to some questions, shall we?
Yes, let's go.
We have had a lot sent in, and please keep them coming. If you're watching this video, pop them in the comments below. Don't worry if you're watching us in the past. You can always come back and talk to us in the future.
My phone is... Look at this. My phone is just like reset.
All right, well
I've got it back.
Sorry, first one I've got is from AG McRadio. He has said, can we talk about the ridiculous in-ring talent that is Jacob Fatu? The man should not be able to move like that. Jacob Fatu is fantastic and has been fantastic for a long time, but in WWE, I believe he is being used to next level. That is an example right there of them going, this is what this guy does. We are going to maximize this. I'm going to come out and say promo skills might need a little more work, because he did do one in SmackDown the other week that wasn't amazing.
He is somebody who I think could benefit from being one of the potentially next Paul Heyman guys.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I think there's a few options for that. People have spoken about Braun Breaker potentially being it. I don't necessarily think Braun Breaker really needs Paul Heyman.
No, it would be interesting.
Yeah.
And would make a lot of sense.
I think there's a lot of people who...
Ask yourself how much time.
A lot of people, dare I say, maybe fantasize Braun Breaker as the next Brock Lesnar, and I get that.
It feels different.
It's just they're two. I let Braun be Braun.
Yeah.
Braun doesn't need to be Brock.
It feels different. It feels different.
But Jacob Fatu is unreal.
And you might also have to ask yourself, how much more time does Paul Heyman, like, has he got, like, is there another 2 or 3 years, another decade into him putting into a wrestler, or have we seen Punk, Brock, and Roman in the bloodline? I mean, that's a Hall of Fame career right there.
Yeah, I mean, it quite literally is in the Hall of Fame.
So it's like, I don't know. But I, in terms of Jacob Fatu, I thought he was fantastic. Thought he was never going to get there, to be honest.
Yep.
Thought he was never going to get there, but I think he's looking great. I think he's looking great.
He looks brilliant.
And let's not rush it.
Of course.
Let's not rush it.
So many things in wrestling getting rushed. We don't need that rushed.
Quick one here from Kevin Twist 67 said, thoughts on the way Gunther has been booked in recent weeks after losing to Cody Rhodes, seemed to be lacking his usual confidence.
Listen, I've seen a lot of people, and I don't think this is what necessarily Kevin's saying. I've been online and I've seen people going, they're booking Gunther to weekly, and I'm like, it's been 2-3 weeks since Crown Jewel, and it's like, he doesn't always need, like, I like that they're giving this different...
He can't always be a killer.
They're giving him a different side. They're showing this heel that's now gone through a wee bit of struggle. Like, he's doubting himself. Like, he's been beat by Cody Rhodes, and he's openly said, Cody beat me. Cody, and like...
The better man won.
Ludwig tried to give him that whole excuse, like, oh, no, he didn't beat you, No, he did beat me, and that's fine. And I think that's fine.
And he said in a way that you would see an MMA fighter do. Like, even a Conor McGregor or something like that. Better man won. And I think for Gunther's whole thing is he is a professional wrestler. He's an absolute professional at the end of the day, and it's the ring is sacred. He values the sport above anything else. And it's a bit of business for him down the line. Yeah. I mean, Cody Rhodes will be is the unicorn to chase. Mm-hmm. Even if Cody loses the title, it's like, but I didn't beat you, Cody. Cody, I didn't beat you at Crown Jewel. I didn't beat you, and I need to beat you. That's a 2 out of 3 falls. That's a main event. Planting seeds.
Yeah, listen, I've not had it. This time of year is always typically, and that's actually, I'll lead into a question I've got. Please. Somebody saying, first time watching wrestling since WrestleMania 31, which is obviously nearly 10 years ago. Saying which was epic, and it was. 31's one of my all-time favourites. I love 31. He started watching again when The Rock came back earlier this year. However, Crown Jewel and now War Games feels the worst it's been booked since. Unsure if the booking of Cody Rhodes has been poor and the hype of Roman's died down pretty quick. What would you say? What I would say is, if you're just tuning back into wrestling, a trend over the last 2 or 3 years since Triple H has took over is this side of the year typically does cool down. Yeah. And I think that last year it was like, I remember last year being like, Punk held that end of the year, the whole illusion of Punk turning up.
He did War Games and Punk.
Orton as well, not to disrespect Randy Orton, but the illusion of Punk and Orton coming back.
That's mad to think Randy's been back a year, isn't it?
That really done wonders because it was a really poor... Rollins was going through his world title reign, which people were getting sick of at the time. Not necessarily me,
a lot of people were just a little pissed that he was the guy that was getting the belt again. Exactly. And he didn't feel like he needed it.
What I would say is this time of year, especially with all the tape shows that we talked about earlier, is it does typically cool down, and then when we get into the Rumble season, that's when it kind of heats back up again. So yeah, I think it is probably the poorest it's been booked this year, but it's just that time of year. Yeah. I would say is about how I would word it.
No, I think that's fair. That's the thing you said. Jumping out of that for a second, this is a question directly from me.
Oh, from you?
For me, and I wasn't quite ready for that. This is from Terium that said, Billy, how's commentary style changed over the years? It very much has. Would you ever go heel? It's an interesting question. I'm not really face. I would say I like. Wrestling commentary in the UK has changed a lot, right? I do not like people... I'll not break kayfabe. Mm-hmm. I won't shit on the product in any way, shape or form. Botches are something that happens that a wrestler has to deal with, and I am there to help them continue to tell their story. Mm-hmm. So I've got like rules. I enjoy doing colour. I do enjoy helping tell the story. I think we've got a quite good mix. I'm not just saying this because Ryan's in here. I think we've got quite a good mix of what the overall is that we're telling you and we're giving you. I think any good commentary team is that. So to answer your question, to be heel, I'd have to be a right fucking bastard. Yep. And I don't think that's what wrestling. I hate people suddenly going like, oh, I'm a heel, I'm a bad, like a guy that works in fucking Arnold Clark during the week, and then he's coming in and going like, oh, he's a kid. Like, you don't even know what you're fucking doing. So that's probably more a pet peeve than one. So I wouldn't do that. I'm also a comedian by nature, so I kind of fuck about with your feelings and shit anyway. So
I think that we've both got a good mix of being like, there's certain people who
I'm probably a little more Healy of the two of us.
Yeah. I come back,
but I don't do it to be
a bastard.
Yeah, I don't do it to be a bastard.
Like, the way I look at it is, there's certain people, like, for example, I'll always play the card that Victory Inc. And I always kid on that I'm paid off by Victory Inc. Which, and
I think it was me and there was him.
Yeah, in theory, that would make me a heel because they're a heel team, but it's not like that. It's not a sport. It's not
the joke is that we're so lily-livered and pussy-like that somebody's paid us, and we're like, yeah, cool, sounds good to us.
Exactly.
But by that respect, I've been on Lana Austin's payroll.
Since I came in the door, I've remembered.
We're having a bit of fun. Bit of colour is fine, but I appreciate the question. It would be a different if maybe I was going into another company or something. But ICW is my home. Thank you very much. Unless TNA wants to go. Or ROH or any of the other companies. Got a good question for us. I think we're going to have to do this together. This is from Kazabi, who has said, Team Scotland versus Team England, Survivor Series style, 5 versus 5.
I take it this would be all time.
You'd have to go all time.
Because it's not as if there's there is a plethora of wrestlers from Scotland
and
England.
Yeah. I mean, so, Team Scotland, right, I'm going for a straight away. I'm going for Drew.
That's pretty simple.
I'm gonna put Gallus in there.
Oh, okay, all 3 of them.
I'm gonna put all 3 in there.
All 3 of them, cool.
Well, it's such a fucking tricky one because you get your favourites.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because are we trying to stick with people who've exclusively been in WWE here?
No.
Oh no.
No.
Right.
So in that respect, but I'm gonna put Gallus in just because I think
I'm fine with that.
3 of the premiers.
I love them.
Right now, you can't really,
man, you know?
You can't really big silly man. There you go. It's do they like silly? You never mention it.
Wouldn't guess.
I think Joe Coffey comes out in actual Celtic gear now.
Comes out in his Green Brigade shorts.
I'm still surprised he's not done the huddle. I'm still maybe I've missed it and it's happened on a show.
It's great because obviously like they've just now got it going because it's GB Gallus boys.
Yeah.
The GB is the Green Brigade, so it's like just
exactly.
subtle foreshadowing.
Exactly. These guys like but I think of guys like Tyler Bate and Trent Seven.
Oh man!
And you think of Mark Rollerball Rocco, and you think of Marty Joe, you can go all the way back.
Yep.
So it's so fucking hard. But in terms of Scotland, the other one I'm going to put in is the Highlander from Hell, Drew McDonald, because he has influenced Triple H. He's influenced so many others. He's a big Scottish name. It was a Scottish name through the world of sport. Maybe not a name you're thinking now, but it's so different as well to the other men that are in that match that I'm going to put him in there as a bit of a sign of respect from.
Okay, I like it.
We could put that team together 100 times over, because I'd love to put some of the younger generation guys in it now. So you asking of all time, but if it would like exclusively go like today. That's a different question.
Well, obviously, you'd still have Drew and Gallus. Anyway.
I'd still have Drew. But that's it. There's 4 gone.
That's 4.
I
5 spots.
think of guys that I think are just fantastic. Kenny Williams. How can you not?
I was going to say Kenny.
Yeah, how can you not have Kenny Williams in the conversation? Because he is so different to everyone else.
Yep.
God.
I think there's a few guys from obviously the locker room at ICW who could be pretty solid. I think I
travelled.
I think of like because there's 1 spot left here. I'm not excluding the other half. I'm so sorry, Jake, but think of Big Brody Turnbull.
Big Brody
would be unreal.
Well, that's the thing, man. It's such a tricky question. Like, you almost have to go, all right, it's guys that have travelled a lot more extensively. All right, it'd be these guys. If it were guys from just like the Scottish locker rooms in the UK right now, so if we're going today and we're not allowing Drew and Gallus, that is a different question. Oh, fuck, man. Like, so I'm putting Kenny in. I'm putting Kenny straight in.
Kenny's got to go.
Kenny's world class, right? Kenny should be, and I know he's a busy man in general, and I know he's busy with gigs, and you might not necessarily, whatever your opinion is on Kenny, you can't deny he's world class, and he's been a favourite of mine for a long time.
World champ.
So, which would probably make him sick in his own way, but he knows he's been a favourite of mine for a long time, so I don't think I'm breaking the wall down too much there. There's guys like, it was great to see Kez Evans make a return to ICW, because there's something about Kez, and there always has been. There's something about him. There's like a quiet charisma. Him coming back in this new role that he does in ICW, just a big bruiser. Fans can get behind. Man, I think we're going to see something very special from Kez.
Another former world champ.
Yeah, another former world champ. So I can't look too far past him. I I've got my favourites though, and that's the problem.
He's showing his colours.
That's my favourite.
His commentary bias will start you able to notice it now.
I do have my favourites, but tell you what, let's look at Team England. Let's look at Team England.
Team England, if we'll try to stick to the day of what, because straight away I want to put two people in, two obvious shouts, I think, is William Regal and Wade Barrett. I would love both of them.
I'd want Davey. I'd have to put Davey. People are going to say, well, what about Dynamite Kid? It's hard not to look past them. It's hard not to look past them. So these all-time greats. I mean, if I'm playing fantasy booking here, I want to put an Adrian Street.
Oh, right, okay.
I felt like exotic Adrian Street, man. A bit of colour. Bit of colour.
Bit of blue.
And that man could fucking go.
Yeah,
he was considered to be one of the hardest nuts out there.
Why don't we get Big Daddy?
Do you know, man? If you're doing it all the time, just imagine. Like, here, picture the scene. Right, picture the scene.
Speak to anybody about wrestling, it's always Big Daddy.
Picture the scene. They all get in there on a big battle line. Daddy walks through and takes out, just fucking barrels through, and they sell it like it's like, wow!
That's like bring the 80s into the modern day.
Yeah, I love shit like that. I love shit like that. There's not enough of that in wrestling. So Daddy taking out fucking Gallus, just and they would sell it like a landmine and going, whoa!
It's Big Daddy.
Fucking hook me up. Hook me up.
That makes me think of Blackpool.
I mean, these guys like Kendo Nagasaki and stuff like that as well. So you'd have to would you put him in? I don't know.
There's so many great shouts.
So I think the answer to your question is we can't. I could rebook a card of that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I think
that's maybe a more interesting question. Do as a Survivor Series night of like a mix of your all timers. And you're up and...
Do you know, it always makes me sad realising that... And of course there's going to be another crop of older fellows that eventually people get older, blah, 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 blah.
Older fellows.
But like, I miss the days where, like, I miss that era where, like, you still could bring back the likes of Roddy Piper and the likes of... Yeah, I miss that in Ricky Steamboat, where, like, now it's like, well, obviously some are sadly no longer with us, but, like, you know, some guys are just never going to be able to do anything like that because they're in their 70s or 80s or whatever. Yeah. Like, I miss that. I mean,
I'd pop to see the American males wrestle.
I'd pop to see a number of different names in my head right now, and it's just
there's a whole bunch of names that you just go, they're not coming back. But you know, the day will come. Like, there's Seth Rollins talking about WrestleMania, and you go like, fuck. How long Seth Rollins got?
I know, it's not. It's like the guy is probably going to hang it up in the next 5 years.
I think so. But there's a guy
put his body through
there's a guy that'd be good in commentary. He could have another job. He could probably go another 10 years, depending on what he wants to do.
Absolutely.
Fuck, man. You know?
Don't make me great.
Big Nick Aldis. He would have been another name in there. Never really looked at him. National treasure. Of
course. He was speaking last night on Chris Van Vliet about potential last match.
I've always liked Big Nick.
That's all. Same.
I'm always like,
same.
But you see when a thing, like, just as a little aside, see when people talk about the last match, I'm always like going, but will it be a last match? Will it be a proper last match? Mm-hmm. Or will it be like, it'll be 5 minute run out in your gear? You don't want to get in that shape. Mind what they did to Christian at the Royal Rumble?
Oh, aye.
That was shite.
Bring back Magnus.
Bring back Big Magnus.
Let's get Big Shagness
back. Big Magnus. You got another one?
I did have another one. Hold on.
Sorry.
I locked my phone. God, there we go. Here we go. Let's see. No, that's your tweet. Oh, there we go. There's my tweet there. Apologies, ladies and gents. So this was a good one from my mate Jake, who said he asked the same question to Billy. But with the new... So Nakamura's back. We've seen it on SmackDown. He's back. He attacked LA Knight.
I think I'm looking at that very question.
So he attacked LA Knight. He's back. However, apart from the Noah match, he's given me no reason to have faith in him in a while. But who's a wrestler you just refuse to give up on?
Shinsuke is kind of one of them, to be honest. Like, if you go back to look at the phenomenon of Shinsuke coming in, it's huge. The fact that didn't lead to a Japanese star winning the world's heavyweight title is what made me believe he was going to win it. It's
I thought he was a shoe-in to win it.
This is them taking their shot in Japan.
Yeah.
This is them taking their shot, and then they didn't do it. I don't know if it was a last-minute decision or what have you, but he's been in kind of free fall since then. Turning him heel was stupid.
What really irritated me was, and this is the thing, sorry, Billy, I'm quite bored of Nakamura.
The right box thing was shite as well.
Not for any fault of his own, it's just the way he's been booked. He's a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, no.
But
I can understand because I'm there with you in terms of I've been bored.
But I actually started to get on. So when they turned him heel last year, and they ran the program with Seth, and he was doing the promos in the kind of anime style fashion.
I liked him.
And Jack, I loved it. I thought this is great. And he lost the whole run, and then it went nowhere.
Yeah.
Like so they've dropped the ball on him a number of times, and even when they start to reignite a bit of interest in him, they seem to drop the ball again.
So I'd want to know in WWE, is that a case of, is that the only place you see him?
Yeah.
He can have these engaging feuds, make good TV, but he's never going to win it, because the thing is, they say wins and losses don't matter. They do. They do matter. We need to see. There needed to be someone to build him up with, and you didn't do it. Him working with LA Knight. I mean, for all we know, it's his feud on the way out.
It could be.
For all we know.
Could be.
For all we know. I mean, he would re-sign with New Japan. I'm sure there would be an offer there. I mean, I don't know, maybe quite happy here in the West.
I remember he said in an interview that he's actually, like, because people I think like to speculate that he's unhappy, and I'm pretty sure he went out in an interview and he said something along the lines of, I'm perfectly happy. I'm getting paid good money. I don't need to work a lot of dates. Like, why would I be unhappy?
Well, there we go.
So if he did say that, and I might be making that up, but I'm pretty sure I read it somewhere, fair enough. But I think there will be a point in his career where he realises, I've not got long. He's old as well. He's getting on. He's like, there's probably going to come a point where he's like, right, I need to do something now, or it's too late.
So he's running down the clock, maybe a wee bit.
But a wrestler that you refuse to give up, would your answer be Nakamura?
Oh, like, it's someone that I get excited whenever he turns up. Mm-hmm. The booking has, you said it bored him and made me lose faith a wee bit. And there's nothing worse. Hope is one thing, but faith, if you lose faith, you're fucked.
Yep. I think that the guy for me is the one who's starting to actually get pulled through a bit, and I refuse to give up hope on Karrion Kross, and it's starting to pay off.
Well, we mentioned this the other day, like the promo from Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
He steals the show from The Miz.
Exactly. And The Miz is such a good promo.
And just steals the show. See the bit when Miz started talking about Marine 7, it's like, he actually kind of took me out of it. It was like,
Aye. And then Kross starts
Karrion Kross makes me give a fuck.
Aye.
You know, and Karrion Kross is very good.
Yeah, he's one of the guys I've kind of stood by.
I hope people do.
Hoping that it would come through, and I think now might be the time.
Him and the Wyatts works. I hope it goes for a while.
Oh, yeah, same.
I hope it goes. Do you see, that would be a War Games match.
That could have been.
I'd have watched a War Games
easily
match.
Could have been. I mean, you've got four male individuals on either side, and then if you really want to spice it up, you could have Scarlett and Nikki be involved.
We could have Scarlett in there. That would have been all right. So in terms of other competitors that I've given up on, I mean, he's mentioned Danhausen, Hook. Love Hook. Really like Hook. Again, it's another one that I think they slightly dropped the ball with, because he was booked so well when he debuted. He was booked so well and always looks good in the ring. I have to say, that despite the fact he's a young guy, he's done incredibly well. God, I'm trying to think of anybody else that I would refuse to.
This is one of these questions.
Kevin Owens is one that I keep going. I love Kevin Owens.
Kevin's been my favourite since Punk left.
And Kevin's one of those things that when you look at it and you go, actually, he's not had a bad run.
Kevin is one of those guys that people always jump to. I can't believe he's only had one world title run, and to an extent I agree with that, but when you look at everything else he's done, he is the guy that was given the very huge executive honour of main event in WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin in his final match. His run with Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon was main event television for a long time. He main evented WrestleMania in a tag title match. Like, Kevin Owens has done so much without a world title, which is to the stature of a world title wrestler.
It's that old phrase, isn't it? You don't need it.
You don't need a belt. Some wrestlers just don't need a belt. It's like Shawn Michaels was world champion, 4 times? And he just didn't need a belt for that 25, 30 years here.
If I had been, I guess my guy had been the wrestler that I'd never wanted to give up on, was CM Punk.
Well, I mean, I don't need to really explain
but it was. It was like, surely he's going to come back one day. Surely he's going to come back. When AEW did it, I was like, that is fucking insane. What an exciting time to be a wrestling fan.
That was the most exciting night of my life.
And the work he's done in WWE along with Drew. Drew's another one. Like, I don't think I'll give up on it. Not because history, but because I just, like, the fucker just can do everything.
Good.
I still think we've not seen it. The feud with Punk was fantastic. I'm excited to see what's next, so I'm keeping faith.
Listen,
I'm keeping faith, whether it's him and Punk or it's something else completely.
Drew's level of faith worldwide is at an all-time high. That guy is riding the wave.
I wonder, Drew versus Punk, career match, WrestleMania, who knows? I'm not saying either of those men should lose. It might be a chance Drew's taking some well-earned time off just now. It's mad. It's mad.
So much they can do. So much.
Got a couple other ones in here. In fact, there was one because I'm not going out my way. This isn't an ICW podcast, right? I'm not going out my way to avoid ICW questions, but it's a tricky one. I want to make sure I find it. Oh, this is from our friend Billy over at SWN, friend of the show. He went TLC match, Fear and Loathing, discuss, please, madness. I'm not going to go into too much because you're going to go back and you're going to watch the replay on Triller Plus. Make sure to check it out.
Smart.
But if there was a match that I would urge them to put on YouTube in its entirety,
it's that match.
It'd be that match. It was a great night, a brilliant night of matches.
It's a great
me
show.
and Ryan came away from it, and one of the things I said, I went, that might be my favourite Fear and Loathing for a while, and that's not to say the other ones are bad, but when one stands out,
you know it stands out. You just know
when it stands out, you know.
I've only called one.
No, it's like a football match. Well, like Square Go is my favourite. It's traditionally been my favourite show of the year.
Yeah.
And so it's always been my kind of Fear and Loathing, if that makes any sense. But I think I also went into it quite relaxed as well, going, this is going to be fun. We're back in the garage. This is going to be fun. That can make a big difference. But the TLC match they did for Anywhere was fantastic. For ICW was fantastic. But for considering that 3 of the competitors into it, 4 if you include Miss Lara, are under 3 years in the business is mental.
I mean, was it the first Fear and Loathing for Jake?
It was the first for Fraser. It was the first for was it the first for Arcade Violence?
It might have been. I can't. I forgot. I looked up before the show.
Was that a pre-show? They were in a pre-show.
Maybe.
Anyway, it didn't really matter. First TLC match.
Yeah.
And it is an ugly match to be a part of.
Fraser.
I can say that right now. Fraser Garvin, fucking hell, the son of Bruiser. Invest early. But Lewis being in there as well. There's a guy that can just keep going. You know what I mean? It's just incredible. Brody and Jake. I thought it was a great match.
An unbelievable match.
What a story those 4 guys have going into it as well. You get the feeling they wanted to fucking murder each other, and realistically they nearly did. They helped our story be easy. Lara was a great addition to the show as well. Yep. I thought it was fantastic. It brought... Do you know what it felt like? Big, and I've said this in commentary a couple of times. Big match feels. Mm-hmm. Big match. You going into it, you went... Oh, this is going to be good. And as soon as you do that, you have got a wrestling fans.
Exactly.
And those guys have got it. And the night was full. I'm not just saying that. It was a brilliant night from start to finish.
Everybody in the card deserves a round of applause.
Yeah. I would encourage people to go and watch it.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to go and watch
Plus.
it. Trailer Plus.
Go there.
Make sure to check in. There's a 7-day free trial as well. Why not go in, see what you like, watch the other stuff, decide it's passion, come on back. You got any more, Found?
I think that was me. I did have a couple, but I think we kind of touched on, because one was about ICW. And we've obviously just spoke hefty about the night there. So yeah, I think that's me.
I've only got a couple more. One was, what's your favourite ever line from your time in the mic at ICW? For me, it's going to be pink cheese grater. Very quickly, I want to make this very clear. I do not remember a lot of what I've said.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, even if I hit out with anything slightly memorable, it would be erased from my memory by the next match.
It goes so fast.
It's like you can't remember, like, unless there's a clip that I'll get sent and I'll go, oh, that was a good line. But like, it doesn't.
I think it's because obviously I'm a comedian, and I do have to
too much talking.
I do have to fight against my natural tendency to say funny or silly shit, right? I do have to fight against it. I know be like Bobby the Brain Heenan and all. It's different, right? When somebody's doing somebody, but sometimes I can't help myself. But it is nice that people remember them, and I do appreciate when people. But I've got to admit, pink cheese grater. I'm not entirely sure of the match. I'm assuming it's been a women's street fight or a women.
Well, it will be.
I feel terrible. Someone's going to then send me the clip and go, "You ignorant fuck." Okay. But I don't remember what I said.
Especially when you do comedy, I do YouTube. I'm talking constantly.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I forget.
I do remember once hitting out when is it Yellow Dark got they put her in a bin. Put in a wheelie bin. I went, "What are you doing? Women go in the brown bin." And it's all I could think of. Like, and that one stuck with me for a while. Who keeps selling fucking? Who keeps selling thumbtacks to wrestlers? That's a recurring one. I quite like one. And I do still regret ruining one of Joe Hendry's entrances.
Oh,
because it was the one when he came in the big ball, and I went, yeah, this is how you do an entrance at a big event. Fuck you, Shawn Michaels. And to this day, I always went, I wish I'd not said fuck you, Shawn Michaels, for his benefit more than anything.
Especially because Shawn Michaels is soon to probably be his boss.
He's also probably seen it.
Yeah.
And I feel it was, he gets it. Shawn gets it.
Comedy, man.
And if he doesn't get it, well, that means, oh my. One last question I want to hit out with, and this is a general wrestling question.
Okay.
Why isn't Jim Johnson not in the Hall of Fame?
Nuts to me. I don't get it. And it's like, it's almost...
Don't get me started in fucking Death Rebel or whatever they are.
It's almost as if WWE, for some reason, like to treat him with some form of contempt. I don't know why. They've not. The fact that they've never asked him back to even compose one theme is nuts to me, let alone without being in the Hall of Fame. We're getting to this stage where they've had the Warrior Award over the years.
Yeah.
They've had the Legacy Award over the years.
Yeah.
They've had these special entries into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And Jim Johnson still isn't there. There's a celebrity wing. Donald Trump's in the Hall of Fame.
Don't get me fucking started.
And Jim Johnson, who has...
That's convicted felon. That's convicted felon Donald Trump.
I don't even think that this is a controversial thing to say. I think Jim Johnson is responsible for a huge part of the WWE
Incredible
success.
amount of memory moments.
If it wasn't for the music that Jim Johnson created, so many wrestlers' careers would have flopped.
You go back to all the tunes. So many, it was part of the character, part of what brought it together. Having him not... He seemed like... I remember when he got let go, everyone seemed to be like, oh, that seems unkind.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's not... I mean, I don't know. Did he have an office at Titan Tower or something? Like, I don't know. Was he in there night and day and go, Jim, you're doing like one wrestling theme every 6 months? Like, I don't know if that's how it worked, right?
I think he'd done it from his home.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine he'd been on the payroll, but to have him back in the Hall of Fame, or I think he's done a couple of other wrestling themes over the years. I think he's tinkered with a couple of little independents and what have you. Tony Khan could do a lot worse than offer him a job, or I think at least he should be going in the Hall of Fame. People might not know who he is. They will. If you go, this is the guy that wrote this.
Listen, I was at the Hall of Fame this year, and with all due respect...
What do you think of the Hall of Fames? Do you think they're worth going to?
Not in the current format.
They need to
change it because the crowd was... After Paul Heyman was on, everybody left.
I was there with Mr. T, made his speech. One of the roller coasters of a Hall of Fame speech.
You were lucky. I got Thunderbolt Patterson, who lit the building with his incredible speech. But that's what I mean. Like, with all due respect,
did he not sing a song or something?
He preached for 15 minutes, and it was so funny. So a quick story. I know we're kind of running here, and I'll get this story done as quick
Some of
as
this
possible.
might get cut.
It might get cut. So there was a part in the speech, and he's preaching. So he's obviously like 90 odd year old, and he's like,
people are showing respect, though. They're showing respect.
They're showing respect, and it's getting a bit tedious. So he's giving a Jesus saves us. He will save us. And he's pausing between each line, and he says one line, and then this guy right up the back of the building. So he says something like, and we will thank Jesus. And then in the distance, other end of the arena, all you hear is, yeah. And the place erupted, and like, I was pissing myself because we're all just sitting like, come on, Thunderbolt, man.
The worst, I got to see Mr. T making his speech. And have you seen it?
Yes.
Oh, fuck it. Yes. See live. It was so weird. Because it was like a roller coaster. Because it was like people would be like, fucking hell, he's going on with his mum and all that. And then they started going, do you know something's right? Mums are great. Fucking good on you, T. And then he would go, my mum's urethra hurt. Oh, T. People would literally start
At least
going.
you've seen Mr. T, that's cool.
Yeah, people would literally just start. They would start cheering him again. They would get back on side, and he'd say, boom, I got my mum a Valentine's card. No! Mum's a great. She took me to school every day. She sacrificed so much. Yeah! My mum's urethra. No!
and there's so many Hall of Fame speeches like that. You're just like, get it done. Finish up.
Man. Cheers.
Thank you.
Didn't fuck it too much. I got paid $5,000 to be here. All the best. What a night. Right, I think we'll wrap it up there. That feels like the longest questions and answers we've done. A couple of things. If you want to get in touch with us, like we said at the start, of course, share on social media. That does a really big help. But if you do have any questions, any topics you'd like us to open up here on Wrestling Forever, just hit us up in the comments. You can find Ryan, of course, over on all the social medias. And, of course, on the #1 Celtic podcast. #1 throw them up. Number one.
It kind of cuts off.
Number one, throw them up.
Acknowledge me. No, thank you. And by the way, in case we didn't point this last week, every link for both of us is in the description of the video. It's on the About section on the channel. If you need to find any of us anywhere, you'll find it all there.
So yeah, we love to hear your questions. We love to hear any of your topics. And we've done an episode 2. If we make it to episode 3, Ryan's broke the streak. He's broke the streak. Hey,
I'm going to do it.
All you fucking naysayers out there.
I'm going to do it.
Who knows where we'll be doing the next week's show from the Klansman or something. Right, look after yourselves. Cheers, bye.